Hey guys, it's Nick, and I'm going to be talking to you today about sexual reproduction and how it works. Alright, well, to start it off, sexual reproduction is basically in charge of all the biodiversity that you see in the world because it takes the genetic makeup of all organisms, switches it up, mashes it around, and allows you to share the differences that you have in your body with your partner's differences and brings them together to form a completely different, well, not completely different, but sort of similar new organism. Now, these two different organisms that I was speaking about, one has to be a male, one has to be a female. Now, the male, to get started, the male, each have two different sex organs. There are many different sex organs used in sexual reproduction, and the male sex organ is seen here. It has many different parts to it. The two main parts are the testes, seen here, and the penis, which is used in getting it out of the body and into the female. The testes is where the sperm is created, and that is goes through a process called spermatogenesis, in which one diploid cell, which is called a spermatocyte, goes through meiotic division, which gives you 4 haploid cells called sperm, and they are used in reproduction for the male. The female, on the other hand, the female organ used in reproduction is seen here. And it has many parts to it too. The main well, there's a few parts, but the main part is the ovaries, seen here, and the uterus, seen here. Now, when the sperm and egg meet, they meet here in the fallopian tube and travel to the uterus to be implanted into the wall and grow. But before that, the egg has to be made in the ovary. Now, for that to happen, the process called oogenesis has to go on, and that is the process, and that involves, it's a little bit more difficult, but worth it. An oogonia, which is the diploid cell, turns into, well, it goes through meiotic divisions. It goes through several of them to form an ootid, which is the egg that is used in sexual reproduction, and where the genes of the female are held. Now, these two, when the sperm and the egg meet by using the organs of the two, we have fertilization. Fertilization is a whole other topic. Now, when fertilization happens, a zygote forms. First, for the zygote to happen, the sperm, as seen here, must penetrate the egg using the acrosome, which has a specific enzyme to get the sperm into the fertilization. Fertilization is when the egg of the female and the sperm of the male meet in the body of the female, usually in the fallopian tube, travel down into the uterus of the female, and it implants itself, and it begins to go through a lot of mitotic division, and after months or weeks, depending on the organism that is going through sexual reproduction, it forms a new organism with a different genetic makeup than both of the parents. Now, for all of this to happen, there has to be chemicals and hormones that trigger the animals to want to sexually reproduce. several of these chemicals, FSH and LH, which are sort of a feedback hormones for the organisms to know when they are ready to sexually reproduce. Another two main hormones that are used, which are very important, the most important ones that we have, are testosterone, which is the male hormone, and estrogen, which is the female hormone. The testosterone is what causes males to go through maturity. They get facial hair, their muscles get bigger, they grow body hair, as you can see here. You know, females, they go through the same thing, except estrogen, and of course they don't grow body hair. Their hips may get wider. The hair begins to grow in different parts of the body, and that's when they become they could sexually mature and they could produce an offspring.